Hey guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. Now in today's video, guys, I am going to be doing the full review of Scream 6, and hopefully I can have this video recorded by tonight and uploaded by sometime tomorrow. I will be busier tomorrow because I will be out of town for a little bit tomorrow because I have a tournament to attend. But hopefully I can get this video out by the end of Friday, well, which is technically the actual release of Scream 6. But yeah, we're going to be doing a full review of Scream 6, as I promised. By now I should have my initial reaction, so you already kind of have my general thoughts on this movie. But I'd like to go in, obviously, a little bit more depth. And this is not it for Scream content, so stay tuned. I'm also going to be doing a ranking of all of the Scream movies, which I'm not going to try to get out right away, but I'm going to be trying to get it out sometime this weekend. And then I'm also going to be doing a ranking of all of the killers for from the Scream movies. And I think that's where I'll leave off for the Scream franchise after that. Not really sure of anything else I can do, but that is what I came up with, so stay tuned for those videos as well. And if you're over at my Ars Political channel, I actually just got my outro finished. Somebody sent me the audio for it. And so I'm going to be trying that one out, and hopefully I will be able to start uploading videos soon, because if you're subscribed to my Political channel, you saw why I wasn't able to upload any videos for some copyright claim issues. But otherwise, like I said a couple weeks, or about 2 weeks ago when I reviewed Cocaine Bear or whatever, I'm not really sure what other movies I'm going to be reviewing this month, or what movies I'm going to be watching this month. A couple ones that I had in mind were 65, Shazam, or Dungeons and Dragons. So I'll see, but I'm not really 100% sure yet. So that's just all I can really say for as far as the future. Otherwise, getting on to this review, wow, really, quite a lot to take in. But overall, my thoughts are actually a lot less complicated, a lot more simple than I thought they were going to be. There's a lot to this movie, but my thoughts are actually a lot simpler than I thought, initially thought they would be, because overall, Scream 6 covered all of the bases, and so there's nothing really that I have to nitpick at or anything like that. I guess just talking about the good, I think they utilize, first of all, obviously the big thing is that the change of setting. Sorry, I'm gonna get away from these metals so they're not clinking the whole time. But obviously, one of the bigger things is the change of setting, the New York setting. And overall, I think they utilize it pretty well in the movie. I don't think they necessarily utilize it to their fullest potential, but I mean, I think you could say that about almost any movie where they don't utilize something new that they bring into their fullest potential. But overall, I think they do a pretty good job using the New York setting, with some scenes where they're on the top of a building and they can't, escape by going downstairs or something like that because they're trapped in a room. Obviously there is a huge subway scene in the movie. So there's a lot of different alleyways, stuff like that. There's a lot of different New York stuff that they utilize really, really well in this movie. So I think they did a really good job with that. They didn't just put in the New York thing as an advertising. They actually utilized it pretty well in this movie. And the funniest part about that is that they had a few scenes of Jason Takes Manhattan thrown into this movie. So I thought that was a nice callback that they did with this movie. So I think they utilized the New York setting pretty well. One of the other things that I said that I wanted them to cover, another base that I wanted them to cover, was the meta commentary. And it isn't, how do you want to say, it's a very broad commentary. It isn't as specific as all of the rest of them. But then again, you're making a Scream sequel in this day and age, a year after the previous one. It's going to be pretty hard to dig something up. And so overall, the meta commentary wasn't just related to horror films. I think you could apply it to other types of legacy sequels, because there's not just legacy sequels in the horror franchise as well. You've had it, with Ghostbusters and Spider-Man, with bringing back the original Spider-Mans and things like that. And so it's not just in the horror franchise. And so they dig in a little bit more into the legacy stuff with a few more topics. And so it's pretty broad what the commentary is, but overall it's still there. And so I'm glad that they did try to throw that in there, and then they, instead of just not doing anything about that. Another thing was, did they utilize the returning characters pretty well? Yes, they did. I think they gave a purpose to Gale Weathers returning in this movie, as well as Kirby. And especially with Kirby, it made it very interesting towards the end with who done it and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not gonna spoil anything like that, but I think they utilized her really, really well in this movie, with her being an FBI agent and all that kind of stuff. So bringing back Gale and Kirby actually did make sense, and also consequently, it also made sense that they didn't bring back Sydney in this movie. So while it made sense to bring back Gale in this movie because of her role in the Scream movies, I'm glad that they kind of pointed that out, like, hey, Sydney's gonna lay off this time. They even talk about that in the movie itself. Gale comes up and tells him about it at some point in the movie. And so, they utilized the returning characters pretty well. And so overall, this movie really did cover all the bases. It is definitely the bloodiest out of the Scream franchise. There isn't any particular kills that are like super unique or anything like that. But they really up the ante. It isn't just, simple, just one stab or something like that and then they're dead or something like that. This movie gets really, really aggressive with some of the with pretty much all of the killings. Is just really, really over the top. It isn't necessarily unique, but I guess I'll just say it. Most of the kills are just really intense stabbings, basically. And so, I don't know, I'll take it. There wasn't any, kills that really stood out to me, but there was a lot of carnage in the movie, and so I liked how they kind of upped the ante instead of just having simple surprise stabbings and, that's it for that kill. And obviously, as you've seen, if you've watched the trailer, in that scene with where they're in the convenience store or whatever, Ghostface wields a gun at some point in the movie, and all I'll say is it makes for a pretty interesting scene and a unique kill for Ghostface. I guess I could say. What are some other things that I liked? The opening scene, I really like how they didn't subvert away from. They didn't completely go off of like the Scream opening scene formula, but they kind of subverted your expectations a little bit. And so I really liked what they did with the opening scene. Even when I first watched the opening scene, I was like, something isn't right here. There's no way that and then they go in the opposite direction. I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And so every time that before a Scream movie, I think I know it all, and then they come up with a different twist on me, and I'm like, God damn it. So they always come up with some kind of new twist into the movie, and there are quite a few in this movie, certainly. Although I did predict the killer pretty early, or killer/killers, I guess I should say. I did predict the killer/killers. I won't say if there's multiple or not. Pretty early on. I won't go any further than that. This movie tries to get really complicated with who's the killer and all that kind of stuff. But pretty early on in the movie, it was kind of solidified in my head. I don't know. I was just really. My main focus on this movie was trying to figure out who the killer was, so maybe that's why. But I'm sure it would have been a little bit difficult maybe for other people who were just casually watching, and then they would have been like, oh, So, yeah, that isn't really a bad thing that I was able to catch the killer really early on. Technically, I didn't catch all of them. I guess I'll say it. There were several killers, I'll say, in the movie, and I only caught a part of them. I didn't catch them all. So I didn't completely guess all of the killers and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, that isn't really necessarily a bad thing or anything like that. I just wanted to kind of point that out, that I did catch the killer pretty early on in the movie. Is there any like mixed or negative things, I guess I should say? I don't know. I'm still pretty mixed with the Billy Loomis stuff, like with Sam being the daughter of Billy Loomis. I said this in the Scream 5 review a year ago. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it. It's just, I don't know. I don't really get why it's there exactly. I think even if you took that out and you left in the elements that this film has, which, by the way, I didn't mention this yet, complement Scream 5 really, really well. What I really like about this movie, I think the main thing that I forgot to mention, is this movie complements Scream 5 really well and makes it even better, honestly, with tying specifically Scream 5 and this one together, but it also does a rundown of kind of all of the other Scream movies, at least mentioning all of the rest of them once with some kind of Easter egg or something like that. But I really like how they tie these two together and give a purpose for why Scream 5 existed. And so these two are, I guess I should, this one really, really complements Scream 5 really, really well. But as I was saying, I think even if you took out those elements, even if you took out the Billy Loomis connection and all that kind of stuff, I think everything still would have worked. Because in this movie, I was watching it and I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense why they're doing the whole Billy Loomis thing, but I'm still kind of like, I don't know, I don't really need that at all. So I'm not really a huge fan of the Billy Loomis hallucinations and things like that. So that's something that's mixed for me, but that was mixed for Scream 5 as well, so it's not really a huge deal. And there's not really any negatives for me at all. The only mixed thing is still that kind of that Billy Loomis element that I'm still not really sure about. And I could probably go on and on nitpicking this movie. I mean, obviously, when you go this long in a franchise that's like Scream, sometimes you just kind of wish things would stay simpler, but they have to go over the top to make things unexpected. So at the end of the day, I understand why they have to make things super, super complicated and layer things on top of things. So at the end of the day, I understand all of that. I really, really miss when things were simple in this franchise. But overall, Scream 6, really solid installment. I honestly don't know where I'm going to put it in the ranking because all of the Scream movies are really, really solid entries. But I guess we'll see when the ranking comes out, when I have to sit through and think about where I'm going to put all of them. We'll see. But for right now, on Rotten Tomatoes, I gave Scream 6 a 4.5 out of 5 stars, a very, very generous score. And I'm going to be even more generous because I only had a few mixed feelings that I don't even really feel like nitpicking on because I just don't think it's worth it. I'm going to be giving this movie a 9.5 out of 10. I think it is a really, really solid entry. And if you liked Scream 5, you're going to like this one even better, and it complements Scream 5 really, really well. So overall, Scream 6, really solid entry. And Scream always manages to make me a little bit worried on how they're going to make things interesting again, and then they completely blow me away again. They're somehow able to pull it off time and time again. And so, Scream 6, really, really enjoyed it. And that's going to be it for the review. Like I said, not really sure what else I'm going to be watching this month, but I'm likely going to watch at least one or two more movies this month. Either Dungeons and Dragons 65 or Shazam. Two of the three likely. But otherwise, in the near future, stay tuned for the ranking and the ranking of all of these Scream killers. And if you're subscribed to the Ars Political channel, I should be returning to my content here pretty soon with my outro. I finally have an outro that I can use for the channel. And so that is going to be it for the video. Other than that, like and subscribe, guys, and I will see you next time.